Welcome to our second session, where we consider Jesus as our shelter, our security. And another reading from John's Gospel, John chapter 10, verses 7 to 18. So again, Jesus said to them, "Very truly I tell you, I am the gate of the sheep. All who came before me are thieves and bandits, but the sheep did not listen to them. I am the gate. Whoever enters by me will be saved and will come in and go out and find pasture. The thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy. I came that they may have life and have it abundantly. I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd lays down his life for the sheep. The hired hand, who is not the shepherd and does not own the sheep, sees the wolf coming and leaves the sheep and runs away. And the wolf snatches them and scatters them. A hired hand runs away because a hired hand does not care for the sheep. I am the good shepherd. I know my own and my own know me. Just as the Father knows me and I know the Father, and I lay down my life for the sheep. I have other sheep that do not belong to this fold. I must bring them also, and they will listen to my voice. So there will be one flock, one shepherd. For this reason, the Father loves me, because I lay down my life in order to take it up again. No one takes it from me, but I lay it down of my own accord. I have power to lay it down, and I have power to take it up again. I have received this command from my Father." The Jews didn't understand the meaning of the story of the Good Shepherd, so Jesus took it and applied it to himself. He began by saying, "I am the gate." In this parable, he spoke of two kinds of sheepfold. In the villages and towns, there were communal sheepfolds where all the village flocks were sheltered when they returned home at night. These folds were protected by a strong gate, of which only the guardian of the gate had the key. But when the sheep were out on the fields in the warm season, when they did not return at night to the village at all, they were collected into sheepfolds out on the hillside. These were just open spaces enclosed by a wall with an opening through which the sheep came in and out, but there was no gate. What happened was that at night the shepherd lay down across the opening, and no sheep could get in or out except over his body. In the most literal sense, the shepherd was the gate, and there was no access except through him. This is what Jesus was thinking when he said, "I am the gate." Through him and through him alone, we find access to God. Jesus opens the way to God. Until he came, people could only think of God at best a stranger and at worst an enemy. But Jesus came to tell us and show us what God was like and to open the way to God. He is the gate through whom entrance to God becomes possible. There is a contrast between Jesus and those who came before. Jesus said that those who came before him were thieves and robbers. He was not, of course, talking about the great succession of prophets and the heroes. He was referring to those adventurers who were continually appearing to Palestine and promising that if people would follow them, they would bring in the golden age. All these claimants were revolutionaries and insurrectionists. We only have to look at what is happening in our world to understand that these sort of people only believe that the golden age must be brought in with violence, class warfare, bitterness, and destruction. Is Jesus' claim that he came that we might have life and that we might have it more abundantly. When we walk with Jesus and know his presence in our lives, there comes a new vitality, a superabundance of life. Jesus then draws a comparison between the good and bad, the faithful and unfaithful shepherd. In Palestine, the shepherd was totally responsible for the sheep. If anything happened to the sheep, he had to produce some kind of proof that it was not his fault. The good shepherd was born to his task and grew into the calling of being a shepherd. For the shepherd, it was the most natural thing to risk his life for the sheep. On the other hand, there was the false and unfaithful shepherd. He was in it simply and solely for the pay he would get out of it. When the wolves arrived, he would run away and save his own life rather than his flock. Jesus' point is that the man who works only for reward thinks more of money than anything else. The man who works for love thinks more of the people he is trying to serve more than anything else. Jesus is the good shepherd who so loved his flock that for their safety he would risk and one day give his life. One of my favourite feelings is to be inside on a rainy, blustery day and knowing that inside my shelter I am safe, dry and warm. This kind of shelter is essential for any kind of journey. We need to know at the end of the day, when we collapse weary from the day's activities, we have somewhere safe in which to rest. The sense of safety is vital to our well-being. If we know that we have a haven into which we can retreat while the rains beat down and the winds howl around us and the thunder crashes, we can not only survive, but face the storms with more courage and determination. Our Bible passage on one level is very like the passage we looked at in the first session. Jesus is the means by which we can gain entrance. But it's not the only meaning here. When we add it to the Good Shepherd saying it, it becomes that Jesus, as the gate, provides safety for those inside. If you've ever watched a film that involves the siege of a great castle, then you'll know that the most crucial part of the safety of the castle is its doorway. A strong, secure door will keep all those inside safe from their attackers outside. Jesus, the door, welcomes us in, but also keeps us safe once we are in. This is no imprisonment. The unfortunate connotations of doors is that they can serve to keep us in against our will, as well as others out. And in fact, one of the challenges for those seeking to keep others safe is where to draw the line between safety and infringement of liberty. A brief glance at the political complexities involved in counter-terrorism, identity cards and the like can tell you that. Jesus, however, is our place and means of perfect freedom. He is the door to guide us from danger, but also encourage us to come in and out to find nourishment. Jesus models for us, and indeed offers us, safety balanced with freedom, security with independence, sanctuary with true liberty. We all need in our lives to find this balance that gives us a sense of home without locking us in, a place to rest without undermining our confidence to face the world out there. The shelter that Jesus brings gives us refuge from life's storm, but does not expect that we will stay in that haven forever. Safety functions on all sorts of levels. In many ways, a sheepfold is a good image for the kind of safety that Jesus brings. It provides a sense of home, protection from the dangers around, and a place in which to find rest. There are many other biblical images of safety that also speak powerfully of the kind of safety we find in God. In the Old Testament, there is an ancient tradition about cities of refuge. If people kill someone, there are laws of limited revenge, an eye for an eye, etc., that allowed their punishment. So if they'd killed someone, they too would die. If, however, the killing was accidental, then perpetrators could flee to one of 6 cities of refuge, where they would be safe from revenge, so long as they stayed there. This idea influenced medieval ideas about refuge, which allowed people to claim refuge in churches. Our modern society places a high premium on being risk-free in order to avoid legal action. Jesus, however, was prepared to risk his life in order to save ours. Does this mean that he lacked security, or did he find his security elsewhere? The contrast that Jesus makes between employer and the owner is as relevant today as it was in the first century. It's only when something belongs to you that you're prepared to risk your life to save it. Even the most dedicated employee will find it hard to risk everything for something that belongs to someone else. Jesus' care for us means that he is prepared to go to extreme lengths to ensure that we can find sanctuary. The challenge to each one of us is whether we are prepared to accept the sanctuary he offers, or whether we prefer safety of a different kind. Now, time for you to spend time in quiet and your own reflection. And again, I have provided some activities and thoughts which might help you if you have nothing that you immediately want to think of doing.